Welcome to another episode of the Debate Circle here at the Western Region. And the motion for today is parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial illiteracy rather than our educational system. I'll say that again. Parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial illiteracy than our education system. Proposing and opposing this motion is Friends School Kamusinga versus Friends School Tigoi. Best of luck to both teams.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, or in this case, your minds. We stand not on a Roman forum, but on a hollow ground of intellectual combat. The air crackles with tension, for the ides of debate is upon us. A conspiracy, you say, not of daggers, but of arguments. On the side of tyranny, we have Moigas, on the other nobles of FSK. Brutus may have fallen by his sword, but the battle of truth still continues. I will dissect the evidence, expose the flaws, and ultimately etch our arguments on the stone of reason. Michael Joseph, and today we reveal a stark truth. The guardians and parents wield more influence than our education system in bringing financial literacy in children. Financial literacy in this case means not knowing enough about money to use it wisely. The message is, kids are taught to spend money, and when it's finished, they can always just borrow more. And this isn't even the worst case. Some parents go to the extent of villainifying money. I mean, how often do you hear the phrase, money is the root of all evil? To me, frankly, that's just absurd. But let's get right into it, and let me present my case. Early exposure is crucial. Very, very crucial. We must emphasize on the crucial part of that statement, which is crucial. A child starts forming financial habits and beliefs as early as 3 to 7 years old by observing their parents' behavior when the parents, for example, talk openly about financial habits. Like financial habits like saving, stock investments, for example, and proper spending of money, spending it on assets rather than liabilities. Well, this type of behavior is planted into the kid at an early age, and it is the seeds for financial stability and literacy in their kids. This stems down to the old adage, a fruit never falls far from the tree. A fruit in this case being the kid, and the tree itself is not rocket science, it's simply the parent. Parents drowning in debt, for example, and bad spending habits, unintentionally pass on these traits to their kids. This could not have been put better than Robert Kiyosaki in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. His description is literally what the poor do not teach their kids that the rich do. You cannot preach what you cannot do. That's not how life works. A real-world example is a family that openly discusses budgeting, saving, and other financial habits that are crucial in the development of a child's financial literacy, is a family that will have more chances or more odds of raising a child who's financially literate than a kid whose family treats it like a taboo because of its own insecurities about financial aspects. Now I'll finish on a poem. In the dance of financial wisdom, parents lead the waltz, guiding young hearts with steps both practical and bold. Their teachings are melody that echoes through time, weaving tales of thrift and tales of rhyme. Though school offers a knowledge, a scholarly gleam, it's at home where dreams find their most vivid seam. In the gentle whispers, a budget and spend, parents sculpt future where prudence transcends. Thank you.
A marvelous day indeed it is. I, Waka Shamim, before you in full opposition to this motion that states, parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial literacy than our education system. But just before I go on, my audience, allow me to help you understand this motion well by defining the key terms. Parents and guardians. According to googleprimera.com, these are individuals who take the responsibility of taking care of children. Education system. According to Statista, this is a structural system designed to provide formal education and instruction to individuals. Lastly, financial literacy. This simply refers to knowledge and understanding of various financial topics such as budgeting and investing. And this is according to Lawyer Africa. Now, what do we really stand for as the opposers of this motion? As the opposers of this motion, we do believe that parents and guardians have nothing to do with financial literacy, but instead education system. And why do I even say this? The current education system has more pressure. Take this example of a Form 1 student who has 11 subjects, which include chemistry, biology, geography, among other subjects. Now, this student has to master all the content of the 11 subjects, and by all these, ladies and gentlemen, this student won't be able to have enough time to concentrate on financial literacy. And that is why we say that we should set aside these topics and basically concentrate on financial literacy. According to googleprimera.com, Psychological Association found that 61% of students reported feeling stressed about their schoolwork and 41% reported feeling overwhelmed. Now, to my second point, the current education system has been criticized for lacking practicality and relevance in preparing students for the real world, particularly when it comes to courses related to financial literacy. And what will this lead to, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, this will lead to these students having poor financial skills. My audience, our future solely depends on these students. And if these students have poor financial skills, then our future will be jeopardized. Now, my audience, it's about the ball is on your court to think twice whether to go with the opposing side or the proposing side. I rest my case.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I and my team are soaring. You are stuck on the ground like poo. The name is Wanyonyi Baraka Bradley. The institution is Friends School Kamusinga. And in the words of a very wise Swahili man, mambo ni mengi, masani machache. The motion of today, which states that parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial illiteracy than our education system, is a very simple topic that does not need to be debated upon because the outcome can be seen. Let us start on primary influence from the parents. You see, parents and guardians are responsible for shaping the fundamental attitude and behaviors, including the financial habits of a child, because they are the primary educators of that child. If you look at the education system, it does its part. It teaches you the theory of economics. It teaches you the theory of finance. But there's also the application, which comes from, not the curriculum, but your parents. Because let's take an example of a child whose parents involve them fully in making financial decisions, and a child who's kept in the darkness. That child will not know what to do in future when it comes to planning for his or her own family. So you can't tell me that the curriculum or the education system is to blame for that child being financially illiterate in future. If you look at a study by the National Endowment for Financial Education, it also says that children often form their financial habits and attitudes based on observations from their parents. What if that child has no parents to observe? The parent is not there when it comes to financial matters. How will that child benefit? On to my second point. Daily financial practices. A parent who has planned their financial practices, not just daily, not just weekly, monthly, but yearly, and shows the child the scheme of spending, the scheme of saving, and the scheme of investing. That child will have a positive outlook on finance. That child will be able to set his or her own goals, and that child will be able to envision him or herself in future in that position. What will he do at that time, and what he won't do? He knows the do's and the don'ts at an early age. Because from Cambridge University, Children as young as 7 years, 7, they grasp by basic financial concepts and behaviors through regular interaction with parents and with finances, not only of the family, but finances that you can find out here. Let's say the parent takes the child on a trip to a bank to see how finances are managed and are held in future. In thought's labyrinth, where myth and truth entwine, let us seek wisdom, expecting depths of mind divine. With each breath, clarity and insight unfurl, pondering mysteries that shape our world. Thank you.
Team Opposition, second speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies, you have all gathered here, but it looks like our worthy opponents don't see the significance of you coming here because they are clearly lying to you. Now, the common misnomer that is actually being propagated by our worthy opponents here is that parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial literacy than our education system. But before I validate my points, allow me to give you the honors of cross-checking. To the first speaker, Mr. Poet Michael Joseph. You said that a student actually learns how to manage money at an early age of 3 to 7 years. Now, when this child is actually being taught, don't you think that this child will be able to now to manage and actually even budget? To the second speaker, Wanyonyi, you're talking about parents being the first teachers of children. Now, have you ever considered these parents that lack financial literacy themselves, that were actually denied the right to education? Have you ever thought about that? No, you are being very inconsiderate, my friend. Now, you're also talking about if the parents are not there, who will teach the child? Oh, it's school, of course. What do you go to do in school? You go and study. Now, to my first point, to chew on my first bone of contention, limited control over curriculum. Now, parents often have little influence over what their children are taught in schools. Many Kenyan schools' education systems prioritize standardized subjects. What do I mean by standardized subjects? In Kenyan schools, we are only told the importance of sciences, humanities, maths. Yet no teacher is actually willing to tell us the importance of financial literacy. Now, my audience, are our parents really to blame there? Judges, are our parents really to blame there? No. We, as the naysayers of this motion, we should and we will always blame our curriculum. To my second point, educational background. Many parents lack financial knowledge themselves, limiting their ability to teach their children effectively. Now, this will create a cycle where both the parent and the child will miss out on crucial financial skills. This was according to a report made by researchgate.com. This report was made on June 6, 2024, and it clearly stated that only 3 of 10 Kenyan parents actually have financial literacy skills. Now, meaning that 7 of 10 Kenyan parents literally don't have the financial literacy skills. They can't teach their children thus. How will they actually help their children? Now, in summary, while parents play a crucial role in their children's education, the systematic shortcomings in financial literacy education should also be recognized as a shared responsibility. I will leave you with one word from me. Therefore, I urge all of us to take a pixel from west and another from the east and put it together to make one beautiful resolution. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to resume my seat. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I come before you a very disappointed man. I am disappointed because we have seen the lies that have been flowing here ever since I got to this stage. Okay, today I was having a very lovely morning. I obviously didn't wake up disappointed. I'm a very happy man. But then I got here, and then I had this very disturbing thought. Someone in their right mind seriously thinking about opposing the motion that states parents have contributed more to financial illiteracy than the education system of our country. Do you know these people? They know themselves, okay? Now, let's delve into facts and escape from the world of fiction that we have been forced to live in by the team opposition. The base of any relationship is communication. Therefore, anyone among us claiming to be a parent must therefore learn to communicate with their children. I appreciate most parents for accepting to communicate to their children, but unfortunately, they are not covering the important issue of financial literacy. I am not trying to demonize advice and moral behaviors that your parents instill in you, but I am literally just trying to Christian the finance section of morals that is literally left out. Charity begins at home. We all know this saying. And so does many other points. Among them is financial literacy. Thus, pleading the fifth among parents should totally not be acceptable. Parents among us, I will urge us not to go along this road and leave this job to the education system since it's trying so hard already. Now, as Morgan Freeman once said, you can be born into a wealthy family and have all its perks, but 4 generations down the line, poverty had substituted all the wealth, and poverty sits with you like a friend. We cannot allow poverty to be our friend, can we? No. Therefore, we must rely on our parents, who in this situation will be responsible for the 4 generations having constant poverty due to financial illiteracy being passed down, being inherited by different children, by different generations up to the 4th. This cannot be part of us. We cannot allow this. That's why I propose the mission that parents should actually be responsible for financial literacy in our children. Now, all the above has been proven by Jumpstart Coalition National Standards and a K-12 personal finance education. This is a very strong think tank in the field all matters concerning finance. You can all go look it up, judges, if you doubt me. But from these, I have clearly shown you that financial literacy should be instilled by the parents, and the education system is already doing enough. In 2022, a report by the Federal Bank of St. Louis shows that parents who talk to their kids about spending habits raise people with better spending habits. Now, they say that what a man can do, a woman can do better. But unfortunately, the only thing I've seen the females on my right doing is lying. God, I hope that the next speaker will try to shed some truth onto us. Thank you.
Jaba kajaba kajaba. Jaba is a common name used to mean lies, rumors, propaganda, and innuendo. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they say, teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. I, as the opposer of this motion, am here to shed some light to you. But before I go on, allow me to do the honors of cross-checking our worthy opponents. I would like to start with you, Mr. First Speaker, Mr. Michael. You say that early exposure is crucial, and I will add on to that and say that early to bed, early to rise. Well, you claim that parents are the role models, and so children should follow what they do. Now, let me tell you, we shouldn't blame our parents. We shouldn't blame our guardians, because most of the time that children spend most of the time in school. So why are we blaming our parents? Why do you blame our guardians? Please, they are innocent. Leave them alone. To you, Mr. Wanyonyi, you also helped your first speaker when you said that parents are primary educators of children. Well then, why are you even in school? Why are you even in a uniform? If they are your primary educators, then you should be at home and let them, just sit back and let them educate you instead. Well, my audience, I am here to shed some light to you, as I said earlier. And whatever they're saying is nothing but lies. And I'm here to tell you the truth, that we are not to blame. We should not blame our parents and guardians, because our education system is to blame. And I have some solution. 1, we should make financial literacy compulsory. And if it's not possible to make financial literacy compulsory, we can integrate this financial literacy in all subjects. And why am I saying that? Because in our education system, we have CBC. CBC majorly speaks of competence. There is nothing like financial literacy in CBC. We also have 844 system. In 844 system, there is only one subject that talks about financial literacy. And what subject is that? Business, which is an optional subject. We should also develop a practical system that promotes financial literacy in the education system. And last but not least, we should practice financial literacy. How? For example, in schools, we can save money. We can use our talents to draw. We can use our talents like art and designs and many others. So my audience, why should we keep on listening to the proposers, yet they're lying to us? We should not blame our innocent parents and guardians for financial literacy, but instead our education system. So help us. My seat is free. You can help us oppose this lovely motion. Thank you for your time. I have been your presenter, Rufin Miteva.
Both teams, you now have 1 minute to do your rebuttals. You can choose whoever to represent you.
At first, when I looked in this room, I thought I saw intellects who knew the meaning of simple concepts. But actually, I still see people who need to go back to the classroom and rethink. Because you can't blame the education system. Because, as I said, the curriculum or the education system gives you the theory. Parents give you the practical. It is not a child's duty to observe the parents, but it's an instinct. Let me give reference to the animal kingdom. Lion cubs look up to their parents to become apex predators. They are not obliged to. They are not forced to. But they do it because they know they're looking up to somebody with experience. Am I right? Or am I right? Now, you can't tell me that you can't tell me that a parent has done the job, but when you look outside these walls, there's the Gen Z population striking. Thanks to a finance bill brought about by a parent, not by a curriculum. Thank you, and ponder that more.
Wow, Gen Z has done it again. Now you can clearly see that our opponents are actually using their parents as scapegoats, pinning all the blame on their parents. Like, seriously? But my audience, I won't talk much. The one thing that I want to leave you with is that every saint has a past, while every sinner has a future. And clearly, I pray to the Almighty Deity that our worthy opponents will join us and have a brighter future. If you know what I mean, thank you for your time.
I first wish to thank you for putting up spirited fight, and allow me to begin by referring to our motion. Parents and guardians should hold more blame for financial literacy than our education system. So when you come in as the proposers, we want to blame our parents and guardians. And the opposers, we are not blaming them, so then the question is, who do we blame? And our opposers told us, let's blame the education system. That brings me to the feedback. Michael, you have a very confident voice. I loved your approach to your speech and the fact that you quoted from books that are renowned bestsellers. Quoting from Rich Dad, Poor Dad was powerful, and I was like, wow, this is a well-read speaker. I also loved the poem that you used in your conclusion. However, I would love to caution you, especially Team Kamusinga. Please ensure that your introduction does not take more than 15 seconds. It could be beautiful. You may come in with very powerful quotes, very emotional, but then that leaves the matter that you should give, especially when you come in as the first speaker. Remember, you are laying ground for your team. Whatever you come and say is what sets the foundation for what the entire team comes to run through. So if you cannot make an intro within 15 seconds, discard it. Is that clear? Yeah, just a quote or two will do. I loved your diverse reference sources and the fact that you are able to provide references for every claim you make. However, I want to advise you not to heavily rely on Statista. At some point, I was even wondering, is it that the environment within schools cannot allow them to Google anything apart from Statistica? Or is it Statista? Yeah. And I also enjoyed how you were able to foreground your points. I could clearly get you what you're saying, especially in regards to how the education system has more pressure and the Form 1 student having more subjects. But then I want you to caution you that you do not have to define everything. You do not have to define things like parents and guardians. Those are obvious things.
Now, mine will be a very general one for purposes of improving our research skills. Whenever you argue out a case, please make sure you give a global perspective. There must be a country, a continent somewhere where this thing has happened. A regional perspective, come back to Africa. There must be a country where this is happening. And then pinpoint cases at home where examples of this have happened. Those three missiles are key in bringing your opponents down. I wish you guys all the best. Thank you.